Hey everyone, Ekman here with another video, and we finally made it to the launch of the first set of the Gundam card game today as this video drops, and I'm really looking forward to it. I'm also doing a live stream opening a couple boxes a couple hours after this video goes up, so make sure to hit that subscribe so you get notified when we go live, and also link it in the description as well as in the probably a pinned comment after the fact in case you guys want to see what we get from it. But honestly, I'm really looking forward to that, and as part of that, I want to go and do this tier list going into this format too. I think this is also just, one highly opinionated, just because, these are my opinions going into this. We have a little bit of data that we've been able to collect on Eggman events, and we're going to continue to add more as we get more data too. But with this being a global release, we don't know exactly what everything's going to look like. We don't even know what deck archetypes are going to exist 100% either, right? We have some knowledge of what decks have been doing good, but there also can just be some decks that no one's really tried before that's going to just, come out of the woodworks in the next couple weeks as well. So again, pretty opinionated. I'll probably do an updated version of this in the next couple weeks after we get a couple of events through it, and I'm looking forward to it as well. So again, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure to hit that like and subscribe. Make sure to check out my website, Eggman Events, for turn results and deck list, and let's jump on into it. So we've got 4 tiers. We've got best deck and format, likely, good, viable, and unlikely, and untested. And this kind of shows where my head is for all this. We're going to go from the bottom up as we go through it as well. Also, I have it with a color coordination for these cards as well. So we've got like blue and green. I'm just going to actually start on the unlikely and untested, where I'm going to put kind of like what I call like a blue Oz deck, as well as like a blue white base team, and then also a copy of like the red Zaft. I think these decks are just kind of difficult to build. Not every one of these decks you're going to see is going to have like a committed like color archetype pair with it. I'm not saying that it's going to be like a mono color, but I just don't know like the best way to pair a color with some of these archetypes, right? Obviously, like we saw in the Oz deck, it was paired blue and green, but there's not really a lot of synergies through that. Like white base team is also like really good by itself. It could be a monocolor deck, but there could be some other colors. And then Zaft has a lot of red cards that are really strong, and it could be red white because we also already have like the Justice Gundam here, which we'll talk about in a little bit too. But generally speaking, I just feel like most of these deck cores are just not as strong as others for it too. So I don't really think that they're really good. There might be ways for people to build these and they're like really impressive, and I think some of the cards that we show to show these archetypes off could be playable, but generally I don't think a build committed to strictly this archetype will really work for any of those. So that's where we're at. All right, going to the viable, we're going to kind of start off with like a white academy build here, and I kind of have one. You'll see a couple of deck lists pop up on the screen for some of these too if I have a build from my website that I think kind of shows what I mean by these, but this is mostly just kind of having like more of a mono white. This is kind of like an upgrade for Star Deck 1 and Star Deck 4, using a lot of the academy cards, but also using like the Ale Strike and that kind of stuff with it. So I think the deck is fine. We do have like a lot of good synergy with the cards themselves. You can also just make it like not monocolor by just adding a couple cards from another color if you think they're worth it. But I do think that you don't really you have like a lot of value potentially, and you have like a lot of blockers and some bigger bodies, but you're not really pressing advantage at all. I also think like Soletta is like a really good pilot, but there's just not as much things to like take advantage of that extra resource at times right now. There could be some changes in the future, and I do think that the Aerial is good from the set too, but I also don't think that it's a card that is worth building a deck around. It's a card that you kind of substitute into some decks that are just playing white anyways, and you can get that recycle by just pairing any pilot with it. So we're going to put that in viable. Next up, we're going to put into viable, we're going to put in green Xeon. And honestly, most people have been playing green red, right? This is something that you have Star Deck 3, you just want to upgrade it and see what you can do with it. And I just don't really know the best way to play this deck. I have like an aggressive build, really low to the ground. I think there's a lot of ways to build this, but I'm not really sure specifically what's the best way to play Xeon. I've also seen some people play some like blue green builds of it, and even some like white green builds with it as well. But with some of the decks that exist at like a high capacity right now, I think Xeon is like a deck that either pretty much by like turn 4 or not if you have a chance at winning. Either they're able to stop you from gaining momentum in the early game, and they just had the bases in their shields or something, or they're at like 2 shields and then they just really can't defend at all anymore. So it's something that's, I think, really polarizing. I think that there's a chance for you to win against a lot of decks just inherently from how aggressive you can be. But if you don't have like your good turn 1, 2, 3, chances are your opponent's going to be able to stabilize and you won't be able to do much either. So it's definitely a hard deck to balance. This could definitely be something that's going to be, I think, good later into the format, and it's viable in its own way too, but I don't think it's like outrageously good, which is kind of interesting for a set 1 of a card game. Usually I think aggressive decks generally tend to be a little bit quicker and faster, but not generally in this one. I think that this has been a pretty solid format for more of the control side than maybe the aggressive side too. So we've got that. We also have Unicorn Gundam. We've got 2 different builds, and I think the blue and red version of Unicorn Gundam is like a little bit of the lesser of the 2. This is kind of more focusing on like cyber new type cards as well. The fact that we can also put the Banshee in the deck technically, right? A lot of these new type and cyber new type cards just kind of work together, and I think like it's a solid game plan in its own way. You do get a little bit bricky, but you do have like ways to draw more cards, and you do have ways like the fact that Boninger links get that card draw and you can recycle it is really, really nice. So there are some good things with this deck in particular, but I do think that it's usually like just kind of on the late game, you're just not doing enough for kind of a build like this one. I do think that maybe there'll be another better blue version of Unicorn that we'll talk about in a minute, but we'll put the blue one with red in the viable. And then kind of to just end this category, we're going to put the red and white Justice Gundam. And I might be, I don't know, I really like this deck. This is my deck that I really enjoy playing, and I could definitely put likely good. I'm gonna bump it down just a little bit to kind of maybe counteract my own bias. I might be overcorrecting with it, but I really do like what this deck does. Justice Gundam is really, really neat, being able to make a token that you can also attack with. I think Atherin has a lot of great abilities too. My only issue with this deck is that sometimes it feels like you're just like 1 damage away from being able to like clear bodies or get like a full clear, and you are able to be like a little bit more aggressive. You have access to like some breach effects and like making some extra tokens, and I've been it's the deck that I really want to work the most, and I've been doing a lot of testing with this particular and making different builds with it, and I could be wrong. I could be underestimating this deck based on my own testing, but I do think that it's good. And generally speaking, like the white package of like Strike Gundam and Freedom are already just really good in this game, and so having a deck with that core can't be bad. I feel like there's always going to be a worse deck if you don't run that core, and it's a really solid start for anyone trying to play it. So there it is. All right, next up we've got the likely good. So we're going to start off with our red and blue Banshee. This is kind of known for a couple of things. This is like cyber new type ping. This also is like just Banshee. This is also the one that plays Kshatriya too. There's just so many different names for this one in particular, and I've just been calling it like a Banshee deck, even though like the Banshee's not always the way you win. You can definitely win without seeing this card, but you are kind of revolving around Marita Cruz. I think this is like the best chance for what would be traditionally known as like an aggressive deck. And even though like this is not like a pure aggro deck, right? This is kind of like a little bit more like tempo based, being able to like make some good trades with like all the ping damage you're able to do, and kind of make your opponent like forced to take your card seriously. You also have a lot of ways to rest cards, and obviously the Banshee as like a finisher is really good if you're able to get those 12 cards into your trash as well. So I think this deck is good. It's been kind of surprising me about how good it's been, and we're gonna put it there. And we've got 2 copies of Wing Zero, and this deck's been, I think, better than I was expecting as well. If I was to say which color was better, I'd say that I think white green is like the slightly better one, but green blue is maybe like a little bit more consistent. Also, the way they play are like slightly different. Obviously, like Wing Zero is like your best card at the end of the game, but we have blue green, which is kind of like lets you interact with your opponent's cards, so you get there naturally. And then white green, I've seen more success from just like ramping as hard as you can, and then with all the blockers and other defensive tools that white gets, you get to kind of stabilize at like 1 or 2 shields and take the game from there. So kind of 2 different strategies. You do see like a lot of overlap from a lot of the green cards, but I think these decks are very good, and I will say that they're probably the decks that depend the most on LRs from the set, because you do need your Death Scythe as well as needing like the Wing Zero at a couple copies, so it might be a little bit more expensive than other builds, but they've been really solid. And Wing Zero is just a really cool card, so if you end up getting a couple of them, I definitely think it's worth building a deck around it as well. So unsurprising, we've got 2 blue and white decks left for us for this one, and I have the Unicorn one, the likely good, and then just the Freedom blockers at the best deck and format. Generally speaking, like there's just so many different cards, combinations of blue and white that I think are just it's going to be the best deck in the format. There's a lot of people that say that, oh, it's just the Freedom blockers and Unicorn Gundam blockers are pretty much the same thing with some minor changes, and I would agree with you. I don't think that this is something where these decks are different enough to really need to be categorized as something else, but I think most everyone will agree that blue and white, if not the best color combination in the game, is going to be the most prevalent. It's also very easy to upgrade a copy of Star Deck 1 and a couple copies of Star Deck 4, add a couple LRs from the main set, which generally you just need like 2 or 3 copies of Freedom and then Aerial if you want to from the main set, and you've got a real deck. So I think we're going to see a lot of that moving forward, because again, it's going to be very ease of access. Unicorn Gundam is like a little bit more expensive because you do need to find the Unicorn Destroy mode from their LR selection, but it is, I think, like a little bit better in like a late game. It's a little bit greedier to get to the late game with it, because you are running like a couple more like mid game bricks with it, but it's also very, very strong in its own way. And generally speaking, I do think, again, blue white is probably the best color combination that exists in the game right now. But even though there are just a lot of different ways to optimize the cards in those colors, and there will be a lot of diversity within them, even within like different builds of like Freedom blockers. Traditionally, I do think they're, with even just for set 1, we have enough cards for you to tech in for what you want to do, and we will see a lot of variance within them as well. So that's going to be it for this one. I know that we're on like set 1, so there's only like kind of 12 characterizations of decks for this one, but I think this is kind of shows like a really good idea. I think like these 5 decks, if you want to call them 5 decks, they're kind of like 2.5 decks, right? Like where these are pretty much the same, these are the same with just different colors, and we've got the blue and red. But I think like all these are just really strong. It shows that we have like a lot of different color combinations that are really viable, and this is just also for the first week. I think that there are some chances for some just different combinations of decks to exist that I haven't even talked about, so I will be on the lookout for those as well. But also there could be chances where I'm underestimating some of these decks as viable, when I think that they could shoot up a little bit as well. So let me know what you guys think. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the Gundam meta develops into for the next couple weeks, and that's going to be it. So make sure to check out also my live stream for some box openings. Wish me luck on those, and we'll catch you all next time.
Damn it. Damn it.